Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing really well out there in this crazy, insane place as we try and work out what the friggin' hell is going on. And today I'm back with a slightly different review video. I'll get into it in a second, but before I do, don't forget, hit the like, comment, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. Helps me out a ton. And don't forget, you can find out more about my work, my course at my website, transcendingtimes.org. But without further ado, let's get into today's review. So, as you guys know, if you've been following me a while, I have an issue with the plant medicines and plant medicine community. There's stuff that goes down on those retreats that, I mean, there's been people die down there. There's no, it's people are opening themselves up. There's no emotional support after they take this stuff, and yeah, not only that, it all of it opens you up to entities and different things like this. I've got so many stories, testimonials down the years, people that I've worked with where they were feeling fine, they went off, they took ayahuasca or DMT, and then they're having suicidal thoughts the next day. So I feel like there is an agenda. There was the CIA agent Terence McKenna who was pushing all this stuff, and it's become like fashionable. This is what annoys me. It's fashionable to go and do this stuff, and just it's based around escapism and wanting to check out. And yeah, this is typical of what this guy is going to tell us. So I won't go too much more into it. I'm going to go into it more as I break down what this guy has to say. But yeah, just be careful out there. I don't recommend it. Plant medicines, DMT, any of that stuff. I know it's exciting and you feel like you're getting an insight into things, but yeah, really you're just going into the astral, which is where these entities reside. So we go way further than that. So you're just getting like little snippets, truth mixed with lies and attachments and all this kind of stuff. So, I probably get a lot of hate and triggered people that think that ayahuasca is incredible and, they had all this wonderful things that happened to them. But, there is another side of it as well, which is not spoken about. And so let's get into what this guy has to say.
I was looking at a 5'0" woman, right? And then all of a sudden then I was looking at a 7-foot, half human, half some kind of bird creature. It was a demon. This guy
was a demon. Saw a half human, half bird creature. Those are definitely entities. So there we go, straight off the bat, that's what showed up.
Completely and utterly possessed, big time, like, and he kept hissing at me and all this kind of stuff, like. Horrific would be putting it nice. Terrifying would be putting it nice. It was brutal. I need to find God.
And we're going to get to the Jesus thing in a minute, because I don't, obviously, I'm not religious and I don't promote Jesus or anything like that. Chances are, I haven't watched this yet, but he either saw an entity that was masquerading as Jesus, or they've told him to turn to Jesus, which is still mind control. I've had people tell me that they took an ayahuasca session and there was an entity that told them to go vegan, right? So you hear so much of this stuff. He's got a very thick Northern Irish accent. Even I'm struggling to understand him a little bit, so I hope you guys can decipher it.
My name is Hugh Barber. I am from Northern Ireland. I'm here today to tell you about how ayahuasca actually got me to Jesus Christ. To cut a long one, like, basically I was abused when I was a child, and I never really found out what happened until it was years on later. But I remember there was always something wrong with me mentally, like, and I've been searching all my life. I was trying to fill a void.
I'm going to stop that there because it's very important what he said. Sadly, he was abused, and I have sympathy for that. But what he goes on to say, that he was looking for something to fill a void all of his life. And this is where the problems start, because this is why, things like the New Age and ayahuasca and all this stuff, it's a form of people checking out. It's a way of people spiritually bypassing the stuff that they really need to do therapy over, to do sincere inner work. And so when he says that he was looking for something to fill the void, the Matrix will present that to you, whether that be through alcohol, through drugs, whatever. So instead of doing the hard graft and doing the inner work, which will, if he does the correct techniques and does it for long enough, will stop that need for him to fill a void, he runs to a quick fix where he believes that, you know, you can just take a cup of jungle juice and then you throw up and then you're healed, right? Which is complete nonsense. And not only is it nonsense, it's dangerous. And not only is it dangerous, it annoys the hell out of me, because having worked with so many people down the years, I've worked with satanic ritual abuse survivors, the people that have gone through like the worst kind of trauma. It really annoys me when people just say that you can just go and do a ceremony and you're healed, right? It's just not like that. And like I say, some of these people that I've worked with have gone months, years healing themselves to get to the core wounds and to resolve these issues, to go to these holographic imprints that are stuck in time and space, stuck in trauma, and to reparent them almost. But things like this, they tell you, no, you just pay $1,000, come for 7 days, do 3 ayahuasca ceremonies, and you'll be healed, right? And it's just complete nonsense. And people are getting themselves tied up in knots and in trouble. And this is why I pointed this out. He's looking for something to escape to. He's looking something to fill a void. And this Jesus thing, I can tell you now, even watching it, the Jesus part is the new thing for him to fill the void that he needs to do the inner work to heal. So he's going from one thing to the other, gravitating to one thing to the next thing. So
I'm trying to just get peace, basically. Like, I tried, the rave scene with ecstasy and LSD and mushrooms and all these type of things.
All these things to check out: LSD, mushrooms.
And I started seeking counselling at a very young age. Like, throughout my whole life as well, I had 7 different counsellors. Like,
and I take my hat off to him, because at least he's made the effort to try and resolve those issues. The problem that he faces, and the problem that many people face, is that what is out there in the mainstream is basically useless in terms of psychotherapy. I even worked with one lady once, and she told me that she'd been in a car accident, and the psychotherapist, the mainstream psychotherapist, told her to imagine that, or pretend that it didn't happen. That was the advice that she got. So they put out certain techniques or modalities out there for the general people, and it doesn't go deep enough. And so this guy is still left with this hole inside of him, because he's just unfortunately turned to the thing that's on offer. And then the other flip side of the coin is you have the mainstream healing like that, which is useless, and then you have the new age stuff, which is also useless. Just keep your vibrations high, and don't judge, and pretend, just accept or let go. I mean, I hear that all the time. Oh, I'm letting go of stuff. Like, what does that actually mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything. It just annoys me when I hear that. Like, what does that mean? Like, letting go of what? Like, your inner child that's stuck there at 4 years old, stuck in trauma in time and space, it doesn't want to hear that you're letting go. It wants to be reparented. It wants to be unburdened. And the generational wound that's attached to it needs to be resolved quite often, because these wounds come through the family lines: abandonment wounds, betrayal wounds. These go from generation to generations. They get passed down. Letting go is just like, I mean, anyone can say that. It's just like more bypassing, So anyway, let's carry on.
Tell us how you found the ayahuasca then.
Well, the ayahuasca, what happened with that there, I had a friend, his name was Terry, and he was doing the kickboxing with me. He was kind of like a bit like myself, he was kind of like a pretty broken guy, like, and he was searching as well. And then he started showing me these videos about the spirit molecule. He called it ayahuasca. So what we were going to do, we were going to go to Peru and take this drink and get, you know, some kind of, I don't know, epiphany from God or something like that there, you know what I mean, or some realization, then we come back fixed. We're trying to fix us.
Then we come back fixed. It's exactly what I'm saying. This guy believes that he's going to go to Peru, take some ayahuasca, and he's just going to be fixed. And it's kind of symbolic of the quick fix society that we live in, you know, the fast food. Um, you know, everyone wants information fast, and now it extends into healing. So he's tripping himself up, unfortunately. As much as I have sympathy for him, because I can feel that he wants to genuinely get better.
Ourselves, basically, like.
So then, tell us about the first experience then in New York.
Well, the first experience I had was, you know, was pretty amazing. Like, you know, I thought it was a really good experience. They made me feel really comfortable, and what happened was then when I took the drink, the only way you can explain it, you know, they were playing the music. You started seeing all these shapes and, you know, all these colours, and there were a couple of really weird things I do remember about it. Like, I remember looking at the guy who was playing the music, and have you ever seen like one of these guys, you know, like charming a snake? Mm-hmm. But he was a snake charming us.
Oh, wow.
Is that me, or does it just sound creepy? A snake charmer, charming a snake. Bearing in mind that snakes are serpent entities. They're an entity race, and feels like this guy is channeling that kind of energy through him. So interesting.
This is the thing about it, like, and I found that pretty weird, and you know. So at the end of it, I kind of sort of said to myself, "No, that was a pretty good experience. And maybe I'll do this once a year to treat myself." You know what I mean? And I felt
it's a good experience because it's new, it's different, and in that moment, and I have done ayahuasca. I'm completely transparent, but I did it way before I was aware of what I'm aware now, and to be honest, it didn't really do much for me. I don't know whether I didn't take enough, but I mean, I felt, you know, I was seeing some kind of like shapes that he was saying and stuff like that. Other people were throwing up around me. So, yeah, it's interesting.
pretty good, like, after it, and you know, got on the plane and went home, and no, that's no. Life was pretty normal, like.
So life went on sort of as normal, and were you still addicted to drugs and things?
No, I was going to Narcotics Anonymous. I was training for a bodybuilding show and all the rest of it. Like, I was doing all them type of things.
So he was at Alcoholics Anonymous as well, which again, there's no healing done there. It's a mainstream group that people go to, which doesn't get to the core reason as to why people want to check out with alcohol, by drinking alcohol. You know, you'll sit there in a circle and share stories and everything like that. But meanwhile, there's still a part of you, an inner child or even an inner adult that's stuck there in trauma, which is the reason why you want to drink alcohol all the time. So you need to go back to that to do the healing.
Things like.
So then, tell us about was it a year later when you did the second experience?
What happened was, it was a year later, and I said to myself I would do this once a year. And I was after the bodybuilding show, and I was actually personal training a couple of guys at the time. And I convinced them guys to come along with me. Like, I was telling them about, this great experience I had with ayahuasca and all the rest.
And that's interesting as well, because ayahuasca is like a vine, and it kind of takes over. And it's almost like that kind of spirit has also been kind of like taking over the consciousness of this kind of like false awakening, you know. So yeah.
Like, and there was a guy called Kieran, and there was another guy, I can't remember his name now. They actually went down with me. So they went down to it was actually in Cavan that took place this time.
So what happened on the first night?
Right, so what happened on the first, right, you're not allowed to eat. You're supposed to detoxify your body. You're supposed to drink a lot of water, eat very little, and not eat meat. This is what they tell you to do, right? But
Of course, you're not allowed to eat meat. Has to be vegan.
the first night we went down on the scene, Joe met that woman.
They'll tell you not to eat meat, but meanwhile the shaman are drinking alcohol in the background.
But they were very kind of odd people. They weren't really that interested. They didn't really seem that type of friendly sort of people. And everybody within the group were all just meeting each other. They were all dead on, how you doing, and all the rest of it. But these people, they kind of just sort of stayed away from me. She introduced Antonio, and she said Antonio is a shaman. And she said that this is Maria.
Antonio that done a 2-week course in shamanism in Birmingham. I'm not saying all of the facilitators don't care in these ceremonies, but I've heard so many horror stories down the years where people are just completely neglected after their experience. Like once they've done the ceremony, and some shaman, quote unquote, are abusive, or again, using their perceived powers to get women and all that kind of stuff. And so many stories. And again, I'm not putting them all in the same before I get in the comments. And I'm sure there's some there with good intentions, but I don't feel like they want to acknowledge the full gravity of what they're doing to people.
Who's a witch? You know what I mean? And I was like, a witch. You know what I mean? Gee, but what am I doing here? You know, like, that's how it was. They gave us the drink, and it was nothing like the stuff in Mallorca. This stuff was really, really strong and potent. It was very hard. See, the stuff in Mallorca, you could drink that, it was no problem. But this stuff here was like, you really had to force yourself to drink it. Like, everybody started getting violently sick. It was kind of flashes of light and all the rest of it. And I just remember really, really intense drums. They were playing the drums really, really intensely. Like, you felt there was like a demonic presence there. Like,
so he felt there was a demonic presence. So all you plant medicine fanatics that deny this, because you do, it's coming from the horse's mouth here.
and I remember waking up the next day and sort of saying to myself, like, what was that about? Like, that was nothing like the first time I ever done it. And so the second night they took us outside, right? And they had this lady who was Maria, the witch, and they were calling it the feminine night, okay? So they were going to bring in the feminine energy, right? And we were all sitting around in a circle, and there was a fire in the middle. So everybody was going up to take their drink. But I remember when I went up to take their drink, they were down, and it was nearly like a language. They were going like, kind of like a prayer.
It's creepy.
Or something like that, or speaking to the drink, like.
Oh, to the drink.
And they were going, like I said, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, what's this here? Like, you know what I mean? I've never seen this happen before.
It's funny because this guy, he's clearly very down to earth as well, and I can imagine it would all seem very, very strange and weird. I mean, I've been in one, like I say, and it was very weird, and strange. But this one sounds extra weird.
Before, like.
Looking back now, do you think that's witchcraft?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, man. Hey, and so round this way here, it came to my turn. I took mine. The same thing was really intense. They taking all the rest of it. Like, the same as the first night, everybody started getting really intensely, violently sick. You were puking up the drink.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, what are they speaking into this, like, potion, essentially? I mean, he's saying it's witchcraft, and the feeling was very intense, and he felt a demonic presence.
What could they call it?
No one asks these questions, It's like, oh, it's great, ayahuasca's great, DMT's great. Well, there's a lot to say that it's not so great.
Purging. Well, purging out the ayahuasca, or purging out whatever's on you. But what happened with me, there were like these demonic, alien-looking things, like coming on you, and they were saying to you, purging was supposed to get this stuff out of you, like.
So demonic. Here's the kicker. So some demonic alien-looking beings came and said, we're here to help you. Isn't that always the case? They're always here to help us. The irony. the inversion. We know that they're never here to help us.
I could see these coming on, and I remember watching this Maria one. She was going around, right? There was a guy down on the ground, right, and he was on like in a fetal position. Then she was over, and she was doing this, but you could actually see, like a language coming out of her mouth, was going from her to him, and it looked like your mom was getting taught.
This is why, guys, you don't want to be listening to things like light language and stuff like that. You don't know what it is, right? You really don't know. You don't know what the intention is behind all of that.
Orchard on the ground, like. So I was kind of looking at this, going like, "What is happening here?" Like, you know what I mean? And she came up to me then. I was looking at a 5'0" woman, right? And then all of a sudden, then I was looking at a 7 foot, half human, half some kind of bird creature. It was a demon, basically, looking back in hindsight. And she just picked me up. The creature, what she manifested under or whatever it was, put its hand to where my heart was and started doing all these kind of shapes dead fast. And it was like, I was nothing then. It was just like doing something that it had to do, whatever, like.
Just doing something like how they do. I'd be like, get the fuck off me. What the fuck? He was just allowing this to go on. They were probably implanting him, I would say, etheric implant, something like that.
And it spun me around, and then you could feel the claws going onto your brain, and it was like inside your head, and then just doing all these shapes.
Yeah, definitely etheric implants. I've seen these like metallic claws on the tops of people's heads, or what they call skull caps, things like that, heavy metallic metal helmet-looking things. So what he's done, this is what I always say, every time you alter your consciousness, it makes it easy for them to infiltrate and mess with you, whether it be drugs, alcohol, weed, psychedelics. So he's opened himself right up, and they've come in and they're implanting him.
And then spinning me around after, like, you know what I mean? And it was like being stuck in a horror movie that you couldn't get out of. You know, I remember being really that bad of a state. I remember calling out for Joe, I need help, I need help, I need help.
So now he's desperate, and he's just calling, I guess, the deity that he believes in the most. And you can bet your life that the Matrix is going to give him what he wants, let's say.
Need help. And I remember getting onto my feet, and I could barely walk, like, and I started walking towards Joe. And what happened then was I was looking towards Joe, and it was like nearly like a flash, and you were just in a different realm. And all I was looking at was this creature. It was like a humanoid creature, right? It had these black, dark eyes, and I just remember it looked at me as if it hated me. I mean, it had a hatred for me, like, you know what I mean? And I was looking at it just in shock more than anything. And I just remember just looking at me and then just turning it off like that. And then once it turned off like that, I was back to where I was, like.
What happened next then?
Please let me pay $1,000 to go and experience this.
So what happened then was, right, it was like being stuck in a time loop. It was like something you were like doing this over and over and over again, but man, it seemed like it couldn't stop. It just was like kind of over and over and over. All of a sudden, there was like a web come down. You can see a web in the sky, right?
A web. That's very reassuring, isn't it? I just watched another near-death experience testimonial where the woman described a tunnel of web. She said it was like a massive spider web coming down on her. And here's this guy, again, describing some kind of web. So it's very important to notice these things and register them, because you don't know when and if and when you might need to see these things, you know, when we leave this realm.
This web was like it was white, but it had all these like moving geometry shapes. It was going like a web, but then it was going like a cocoon, like a spider's cocoon. The way the spider would wrap you, like. And the guys who were running it then, hey, they were, they started jumping with joy and all the rest of it when they could see this, this web coming down, and that was like they really achieved something, and and they were, I don't know, they were just getting this like real high off it or something like that there.
Yeah, probably they did the hijacking that they wanted to do, and they were kind of celebrating by the sounds of it.
The next day, man, hey, right, you could tell everybody was really exhausted. There was this guy, long-haired fella, I can't remember his name now. He said to me then, he says, yeah, did you see the web last night? And I was like, I said, you seen that? And this is when it became super real for me then, like, because I was started thinking, maybe this is just like a trip. Maybe this is just like a my own personal trip or whatever, like, or whatever happened, like. But he started explaining the same thing. And I started explaining, the time loop and all as well, and I was all cheapers. I started getting really nervous this time. Cheapers, this is really happening. This really happened, like, do you know what I mean? Right, so on the third night, I went up to get the half cup. And when I took the half cup, I put...
It always amazes me they have such a bad experience that they still go back. It's crazy to me. It's like sticking your head in the oven and burning your head and then just doing it again. Like it just don't make sense.
Put my fingers down my throat straight away so I could throw it up, because I just was there to see what was going to happen that night. So I didn't really want the effect of it, like, but I wanted to witness what was going on, like, and what was going on was unbelievable, like, you know what I mean?
Did you have a little bit of the effect?
Kind of like a wee bit, but not as much. Yeah. Not really, to be honest with you, like, not really, like, compared to the other nights, not really, like.
So you were able to then watch what was going on?
Oh, I was able to sit, because the other guy was told that he couldn't be there if he didn't want a ticket. Okay. And I was allowed to be.
It's like a cult. He didn't want to take it, so he couldn't be there. Does that sound like a cult to you? Sounds like a cult to me.
Be there, but I was just taking a wee half cup. You know what I mean? So it was my way of going, I'm going to go down and just see what's going on here. Like, there's something badly wrong here. Like, the first major thing was the guy getting Kieran was completely possessed. I mean, like, proper possessed. Like, and he started.
And they never tell you about this, and I'll get all these plant medicine people down in the comments telling me how wonderful it is. And this guy is saying that people were possessed, and it's not the first time I've heard this.
That hissing at me, and I was getting afraid of him. I said, no, I have to sit over here, like, you know what I mean, and get away from him, like. It was really bad, like. And he kept calling, Joe, help. Like, one minute it was himself, the next minute it was the other thing, like, you know what I mean? And actually, I remember going up to Joe and saying, you need to do something here. You need to do something with this guy, like, you know what I mean? And she says, no, just let him go through the process. Just let him go through the process. Like, I'm going on like a seer, like.
Is he talking to what he thinks Jesus is there? And people are being demonically possessed, and Jesus is just like, no, just let people carry on. Yeah, sounds like you're dealing with Jesus there, mate.
A couple of hours on, I came then to the second cup. I was supposed to take the second cup. And first couple of people took it. And then they said to me, Hugh, second cup. And I went, no, I'm okay. And they went, no, second cup. And I went, no, I'm okay. And at this stage, yeah, you could see that they were really annoyed, like.
Yeah, of course. That you can imagine the entities working through those people really pissed off because he wouldn't take another cup. And this is how it works, Now, for me, when I get weird people like that, I'm almost looking for the entity. I had something happen in my personal life where one of my friends blew up at me over something so small, and I knew that something had just come in and for that moment just kind of taken over him, so to speak, and was trying to attack me through him. But I was just more curious than anything. I was kind of laughing at it, and the more I was laughing at it, the more he was getting pissed off. So, a lot of these reactions are actually the entities working through people.
They were really annoyed, like, and they were really upset.
If the whole thing was harmless, it doesn't really matter if you're there without the second cup or not.
Yeah.
So it made you feel like there was something going on.
Something going on, because they wouldn't let the other guy down, you see. They wouldn't, if he wasn't taking it, he wasn't coming down.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, Antonio come up to me, who obviously thought I had the half a cup, who knew I didn't take the second. He said to me, sit down. And I said, why? He says, oh, healing. And I says, okay, right, healing.
Healing. Does that sound like healing to you? Oh man, this is what annoys me so much. You know, with the emails I get. Oh, I've done so much healing. I've taken 50 retreats and I'm so healed. Bullshit.
So I went down, sat down on the log, and went like that there. I just thought about my sons, and I thought about my wife, and I thought about the love I had for them. Like, and I remember what he tried to do what that creature did, with the hand thing, and started doing all this stuff, but he couldn't do it. He just was like, and he was all turned around, and he started trying to do it to my head, like your woman was trying to do as well, like. And I just thought about the love I had for my wife, and the love I had for my sons, like. And I was, you ain't getting on, brother. You're not getting, it's not happening, like.
Yeah, I mean now he's using his willpower and his own energetic strength to push back on what's going on, because the entity working through that person is trying to mess with him again, and finally he's set boundaries and he's like, you're not doing it. And so the entity or whatever they're trying to do, they can't get in. So this goes back to how powerful we are. It's just we don't recognize it.
And he was getting very, very frustrated. I stood up and I turned around him and sit down, and I said, no, I won't sit down. I said, I've had enough, I told you already. So everybody went to...
Good for you, mate. Good for you.
Their bed. The guy Kieran I was telling you about was still possessed, right? Still possessed. You could hear him sleeping still, doing all the rest of it. Like, on the Sunday morning, then he was the last to get out of his bed. He was like really, really badly exhausted, and your woman Joa, she was coming into the room with the sage, burning the sage and all the rest of it.
Oh, Joa was not Yeshua. Okay, so this is just a facilitator. So I was a little bit confused by that.
Getting rid of these entities or whatever. So we were in the room anyway. They said,
I mean, does that sound like fun? I mean, like, am I missing something here, plant medicine people? Like, I know you got your retreats and all that stuff, but does that sound like fun to you?
time for Bufo virus. Then they said, who wants to go first?
Oh yeah, of course. Then after ayahuasca, the best thing to do is go and take some Bufo.
And then Antonio looked straight at me. He went like, who wants to go first? And looked at me. I said, well, me being the brave boy, like as usual. I went, oh, sure, I'll do it. Right, so they said to me, what you have to do is you have to breathe out to get rid of all air in your lungs. Take a smoke of the pipe, breathe in, and then breathe out, and then breathe in again. Right, this is the process, like, and they recovered my eyes when we were doing it. And I remember then, so I breathed out. When I went to breathe in, I looked down. Her hand was across my eyes, like that, but I looked down and I seen that the smoke was pure black. On the Saturday, it was white smoke they were smoking, like. And I remember looking like going, just seeing that it was pure black and going like, what the? And then as soon as I breathed it in, man, it was like a nuclear bomb went off in my head. It felt like you were falling very fast. Horrific would be putting it nice. Terrifying would be putting it nice. It was brutal. And then after a while, I could sort of see this Antonio guy was standing in front of me, but it was like a black and white, very vague. And all of a sudden, he turned around and said to me, he says, no, you have to be a slave. That's what he said.
Okay. Sounds legit. Sounds legit.
He said, no, you have to be a slave. The only thing I had to do was, like, yeah, okay, you know what I mean? Like, no, that's the way it was. Like, I'll do anything.
So he was put in such a horrific, energetic, I don't even know what to call it, like trance, that he would give his power away to this Antonio. And we all know what happens when you give your power away. So let's find out.
All of a sudden, I started coming coming round. I realised I was in a room, and then I could see him standing there, and I just grabbed him because I felt like I was falling. Like they were saying to me, "No, it's the good, it's the bad, it's the yin and the yang, it's the black and the white. It's just the same thing." No, I knew within my own.
It's just the same thing. There is no evil. There is no good or bad. Like how often do you hear that garbage propagated within the new age scene, right? And he's coming back with this message as well now.
Being that it wasn't the same thing. This is wrong. This is definitely wrong. Like I felt like they put a hex over my life. Right. I remember waking up. I felt like there was demons holding me down in my bed.
Yeah, there probably was, mate. You open yourself up in such an extreme way, not only once but 3 times, you're gonna have demons.
I remember waking up. I felt like I wasn't in my body. I was like in the sky. I started astral projecting all this kind of stuff. I was like really, really starting to freak out. Like, I started using drugs again. I couldn't get the thought of it out of my mind. I was like constantly in my thoughts. To experience what happened. Like, I remember ringing them up then. And I remember speaking to your woman, Joe. I questioned her a couple of times, like, what is going on? What is happening in my life? Why is these things happening? And I remember the last phone call I had with her. She said, "Get ready for the crazy," and then put the phone down. That's what she did. And I, to this day, believe that she put a hex over my life. 2 weeks later,
I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that. The pushback, and I mean they're working with evil, negative entities, and those entities don't want any pushback, any resistance, any questioning. And when you do that, it's going to aggravate them. And here we go, where he feels like he's been hexed. Maybe it's a hex, maybe it's some kind of black magic or witchcraft. And yeah, this is the problem.
I found out my wife had cancer. I took a mental breakdown. I ended up in the psychiatric unit, and my recovery started from there. What happened, like, and my wife was dealing with her cancer. We broke up.
You broke up?
Yeah, we broke up. Yeah, that wrecked our family. Like, I knew there was a good enough person. You know what I mean? I knew that I wasn't completely nuts. You know what I mean? I knew that it was just drugs. So I went to a drug addiction unit. I went in there and did an intense drug rehabilitation, and they were just putting me back out.
I mean, again, I want to make the point. It's sad, the guy. I've got a lot of empathy for him because he wants to. He's trying to help himself, but he's falling into all the traps set by the Matrix and the false ways in which it tells people you can heal. And now he's ended up in a much worse situation, and I'm guessing that out of desperation he's going to turn to Jesus, right? I think that's where this is going. We'll find out. And of course, it's just another trap. But I do have a lot of empathy for him, and I feel sad that his intentions are pure in the fact that he wants to heal, but he's been sidetracked with all this stuff, and this is why I get angry about it.
About the AA and counselling again. I said, you know what, I did AA and counselling for years and years. I'm not going into this kind of thing again. I says, I need to find God. There has to be God. After seeing all that, I says, there has to be God somewhere. Like, so I start.
See the desperation kicking in. He's absolutely desperate. So now on top of his original trauma, he's got more trauma. So on top of his original desperation, he's even more desperate. So he's going to gravitate to anything that might make him feel better in the moment. And I get it. But is that going to lead to you healing? Is it going to lead you to dealing with what you need to deal with? Is it going to essentially help you get out of this place when that time comes? And it's sad.
Started coming back into Roman Catholicism. I started saying repetitive prayers. I was reading wee bits of the gospel and stuff like that. Well, I really felt like I needed to ask for forgiveness for what happened to me. So I was going to do the sacrament of repentance.
So he's also carrying a ton of guilt and shame now on top of what he already had.
Went to 2 different priests, did the sacrament, still felt a heavy burden, still felt like it was heavy laden, didn't feel like I've had any kind of forgiveness. Went to a different priest, told him everything that happened to me. He told me that the Bible was just a book of metaphors and Satan wasn't really real. And I says, well, after the experience I had, brother, I need to...
The biggest, what's the saying? The biggest trick the devil ever played was convincing people that it didn't exist. And it's the devil, it's demons, there's not just one, it's demonic entities that created religion and created this false god that everyone worships. So it's a double scam. Now again, I'm not saying that there's not an intelligent creative energy behind everything. I do believe that there is. But this masquerading God in this matrix is a deceiver created by demonic entities. Because people will say to me, well, Tony, look, surely if there's demons, then there must be God. And I say, well, which God are you talking about here? So that's the deception. That's the nuances that we need to decipher and be aware of.
To get away from you, and to get away from you now.
This was a priest?
Yeah, this was a priest.
A Catholic priest?
A Catholic priest, yeah. So I started reading the Gospels. I started doing a lot of study myself. I read the Bible. I had one slip on the alcohol and drugs. I stayed sober for a year and a half. And 2 days it lasted.
It's mad. I kind of just want to give this guy a hug, you know. Like, I just normally when I do these reviews, I mean, it's a slightly different review. I can't even bear hearing them almost. But this guy, I'm just, you know, I've really got a lot of empathy for. You know, it's really sad.
Alcohol and drugs. And I remember my mind couldn't handle it, but the guilt and the shame that I had. And I just remember getting on my knees, man, bawling and crying like, says, Jesus, please, I need help. Please help me, Lord. Lo and behold, hey, 2 days later, I got a wee thing on the door. It just said, Jesus saves. That was all.
It's amazing how the Matrix delivers.
Jesus saves. This has
delivers when you're on a road of deception.
To be a sign, like. I rang up the people. They said they were born again Christians. Didn't even know what a born again Christian was, right?
I mean, I'm not being funny, but how many of those leaflets get dropped in people's doors every day, you know? But he's so desperate, he's seen it as some kind of sign or whatever. It's probably coded into his, into his life plan. And then all that's going to happen is when he passes, he's going to be met by an entity that's masquerading as Jesus. They're going to guilt and shame him with his life review, and then you know what happens from there.
And so I went up. The gospel says, no, faith comes through hearing, and hearing through the word of God. And it was Acts 4:12, nor is there salvation found in any other name given unto man under heaven, while we must be saved. Dawned on me, I was all like, what do you mean? What does it mean to be saved? So I stayed to the very end looking.
It means nothing. Nothing's coming to save you. Nothing's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. That's what people are not getting. They're not grasping the fact that your guides are not going to save you. The Andromedans are not coming to save you. Your spirit animal's not coming to save you. Your dead grand's not coming to save you. Jesus is not coming to save you. You need to do the work yourself. Learn what the hell is going on here. Figure it out. Decipher it. Engage your sovereignty. Engage your discernment skills. And then that's how you're going to save yourself.
I went up and said to your man, I says, man, I don't think I'm saved. I says, no, like, what do you do to get saved? Like, no, like the Philippian jailer, what must I do to be saved? Don't believe in the gospel. Call upon the name of the Lord, you shall be saved.
Yeah, because he kind of already kind of knows that he's not really saved, so he's kind of, yeah, I don't know if he like truly even believes that he's being saved by what he's saying.
Like, it was at a moment in time that I really understood that Jesus Christ really did die for me, and he really is real. I believe that night I received the gift of Jesus Christ, like, and I didn't have to do anything for it. All I do was receive it through faith, and I was born again. I was saved, like, and I kicked my heels going out the door.
What does that even mean? I was born again. I was like, what's changed? I mean, just the fact that he's now put himself into like La La Land is basically that's the only thing really that's changed, is that he's convinced himself that things are different to what they are, and that, yeah, Jesus has somehow saved him. But it's all bypassing.
That night, and you know, me and my wife were broke up. For a year and a half, we tried to get back a couple of times. We couldn't get back together. We didn't want to get back to the way things were. And, you know, a week and a half later, I said, you have to hear. No, I was saved. I was born again. Like, and I was like, oh, you have to hear this. You need to hear this here. And, oh, I'm born again. I'm saved and all.
I mean, ultimately, you know, at this point, sadly, he's just delusional. You know, it's again, it's very sad to say it, but I just say it how it is. He's now fallen into grandeurs of delusion.
She just thought that he's a Wendy one again. He's trying to hand me Bibles all year, like, you know what I mean. But then Darrell Kidd, he came up to Jolene's house that night, and she gave her life to the Lord, like. You know, I started really committing my life to the gospel, like, and then you know, I started an outreach team, me and a couple of other guys, like, and my life has been a complete miracle ever since, like. I remember saying to God, you never have to give me a flash of light or an epiphany of anything that you're there, because I believe that you're there, like, you know what I mean? For the change you put into my life, for the man.
I mean, essentially, he's got a new comfort blanket. That's basically what this translates to. He's put his belief and faith into this, and it's just making him feel better. And on the surface, you can say, well, that's a good thing, and I guess, yeah, it is on the surface, because if that's stopping him from going back and taking ayahuasca and everything like that. But the question is this guy on the right path? And the answer is no. Is this guy going to continue to be deceived? And the answer is yes. So as much as he feels good, and I always say to people, look, what do you want? Do you want to feel good, or do you want the truth? Which in the moment doesn't feel good, but in the long run, it's going to truly help you and truly heal you. So he's happy because he's got a new comfort blanket.
And that you've made me today, and for all the things that he's done and he's going to do as well, like.
So he completely changed you as a man.
Oh man, hey, the Bible says, no, therefore, if anybody who is in Christ, not out of Christ, who is in Christ, is a new creation, the old has passed away, and behold, all things become as new, and that's what happened. No, I became a new creation, like a miracle. People would have said to me years ago, like, no, through the drinking drugs and all the rest of it, no, like, that boy needs a miracle. Well, I got one. I got a miracle. You know what I mean? That's what happened, like.
Yeah. Oh, there we go, guys. Yeah. I mean, like I say, he feels good, great, but he's still living in deception, essentially. And we can see the incredible testimony that he shared with us about what happened. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is probably one of the more extreme testimonials. You know, I myself, when I tried it back in the day, it wasn't that intense like that. I didn't take much. But I hear this so much, and it really annoys me that the whole truth doesn't get shared about these plant medicine ceremonies and what it opens you up to. You know, it's very dangerous, is the point that I'm trying to get across. And I know the temptation is to, you know, everyone wants to escape themselves, and it feels good, and you think that you're going outside of your, and in a way you are going outside of your body, but you're just being shown just another aspect of this matrix. And all the entities that reside in there are going to try and, well, literally implant you. I mean, who knows? Now he's religious. Maybe they implanted some kind of religious coding in him. It's difficult to say, but he was definitely being implanted when all that was going on. He picked up demonic attachments. The people around him were had demonic attachments, and it was just a complete shit show. So yeah, I'm here to give the full picture on these plant medicines and what they actually do to people. So guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. You take care.